Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel that's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. The focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset. Those setups can be taken with futures, shares of stock, or options. For example, the S&P 500, you can trade that with ES futures or SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Bookmap Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. So please feel free to post your questions and comments, and I'll do my best to answer. All right, hello, Joel. Welcome, glad you're here. And Bookmap, hello, good afternoon here. I'm not quite sure who that is, but welcome, glad you're here. All right, my agenda for today, what I want to cover, first of all, go over news items, economic data, events, and earnings for the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups for this morning. And then we'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. All right, so news items this week. There are some economic data releases that could have a big impact on market movement during the day. First of all, on Wednesday, the PPI data comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And note that will be right in the middle of my presentation. So we'll stop and watch the market, watch the S&P 500 when the minutes are released. And then Thursday, CPI data comes out. Definitely could be a big event, especially depending on market gamma, how negative it is. Excuse me. So often with a big event like CPI or the employment report we saw last Friday in a negative gamma environment, there is again often a very large reaction after a data release, especially a rally, put van a rally if the data is not as bad as expected or better than expected. All right, then Friday, Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. Excuse me. And then also during the week, there are a number of Fed speakers every day. All right, let's get started with positional analysis now. I'm going to take a look at the S&P 500. This is the S&P 500 in Bookmap, ES Futures. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to start with the SPX in a 30-day 1-hour chart. And just to frame the recent price action, this is the September 15th expiration, call-dominated expiration, and price moved lower, continued to downtrend. Looks like it is consolidating right around the 4,200 to 4,250 level, and now may be trying to move higher. All right, so that is the price action after the September 15th call-dominated expiration. All right, let's take a look at some levels on this chart. So first of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market. This is a 1 standard deviation move, so 68% of the time SPX should trade within that range for the week. And then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, again based on the options market. And SPX should trade within this range 68% of the time again for the day. All right, let's take a look at some Spotgamma levels now. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. These are shown by the dark red horizontal lines. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels provided to subscribers. The first is the put wall at 4,200. That's the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And the next level up is 4,300. Right there, that's the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's the absolute gamma strike. So the most amount of gamma is concentrated at that level, gamma weighted open interest. And then just above that is the volatility trigger at 43.25. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. Above that level, in a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. So below the volatility trigger, that tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above the volatility trigger in a positive gamma environment, that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And it looks like SPX is trading up almost to that level, just below that level now. And then finally, the call wall is at 44.50. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So there's a slight shift higher in the volatility trigger for SPX from 4,300 to 43.25. Otherwise, all levels remain the same, unchanged from Friday. All right, let's take a look at a one-day chart to see the levels that are in play for today. And let me point out the key level for today has been 4,300. Again, the absolute gamma strike, acting more or less as resistance in the morning, and now after lunch as support. So the 4,300 level, very important pivot level today. Now price is moving decisively above that as it acted as support right around 12:45 and 1 o'clock. Well, let's take a look at Bookmap. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes here. And I have the SPX levels Here's that 4,300 level. That is SPX 4,300 absolute gamma strike. Note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX, and it is about 33 points. So SPX 4,300 is at ES 4333. So ES minus SPX today is around 33 points. I also have SPY levels on this chart. This is SPY 431. That's not a gamma level, spot gamma level. And you can't see the label here, but this is the SPY 430 level, and that is the absolute gamma strike and also the volatility trigger for SPY. So right now the S&P 500 is trading above the volatility trigger for SPY, and this 4313 resistance level I think was there to coincide with the SPY 430 level, and it did act as resistance earlier today around just before 12:30. All right, let me point out, let's just take a look at some other levels. So SPY traded almost to 426 before the cash open. Then after the cash open, this 427 level did act as support. Again, there's a lot of interaction around the 4,300 to the 429 level, and finally the S&P 500 broke higher right around 1 o'clock with a final test of the 4,300 level. So those are the levels in play for today. Spot gamma levels as well as round number levels. All right, shifts in levels. I talked about SPX. The volatility trigger did shift higher. For SPY, every level shifted. The volatility trigger shifted higher. Put wall shifted higher from 420 to 425. That's bullish. The call wall actually shifted lower from 455 to 434, so that's slightly bearish. And then the absolute gamma strike shifted up from 425 to 430. So overall, I interpret the shifts in levels for the S&P 500 as bullish. Now keep in mind that was at the close on Friday before the events of the weekend, which did not really did not seem to have much impact. Just a few hours of impact before the put Vanna rally is continuing, and that may be that put Vanna fuel. I'll talk about this in just a minute. May have, if the move continues higher today, that put Vanna fuel may be mostly burned up for tomorrow. All right, so that's the S&P 500. I've talked about shifts in levels and overall net bullish shifts in levels for SPY. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. I'm going to start with NQ futures in Bookmap. And let's take a quick look at the QQQ chart so we can isolate QQQ levels. So QQQ right now trading above its volatility trigger at 365. Note the 361 level, that's not a spot gamma level, did act as support just after the cash open. All right, so those are the QQQ levels. Let's take a look at NDX just for completeness. So NDX really not much to see here other than NDX is trading above its volatility trigger as well at 15,000. And the reason I'm looking at these levels is because this is where the gamma weighted open interest, this is where that is concentrated, and market makers may have to and often do react at those levels to change their hedging flow, to hedge at those specific levels. All right, so this is the NQ chart in Bookmap. Again, I have Mount Cloud notes. I'm showing QQQ levels. So there's the 365 volatility trigger. Also NDX levels, there's the 15,000 level, volatility trigger for NDX. Here's the QQQ 361 that did act as support this morning. Also, NASDAQ traded down below its lower daily expected move earlier today and now is trading above. All right, so those are the levels in play for NASDAQ. And for NASDAQ, NDX, the put wall did shift lower. And for QQQ, there were bullish shifts in levels higher, volatility trigger shifted higher, call wall shifted higher, and the absolute gamma strike shifted higher. So bullish shifts higher in NASDAQ as well. And we'll take a look at setups in a few minutes. Let's go back to the S&P 500. Now let's take a look at gamma notional to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. What I'm going to look at here is gamma notional for SPX, SPY, and QQQ. I normally don't look at NDX. It is not significant. All right, Kite Attack asked, hello Kite Attack. How do you build your QQQ and SPY level? Thank you. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Let me wrap up this positional analysis, and I'll go back and take a look at that. All right, so I'm looking at gamma notional for SPX, SPY, QQQ. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. Note all these numbers are negative. SPX, SPY, QQQ, although less negative than Friday. So these are still negative, but less negative than Friday. So this is indicating at the beginning of the day, traders were long puts, market makers were short puts. And in this negative gamma environment, they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. And we'll take a look at a graphical representation of that with the Vanna model. So this is SPX. This chart is showing market makers delta notional on the vertical axis and price on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first, the light gray curve, is showing how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price only. And then the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That's showing how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price and implied volatility. And that change in delta with a change in implied volatility is the Vanna effect. And Vanna is a second order Greek. All right, let's take a look at some prices now. All right, so this is for SPX, and the low of the day for SPX was right around 42.88. Let me find that. So there's 42.87, so that's pretty close. That's about as close as I'm going to get. So what this is showing as price has increased, price is increasing, and applied volatility drops. Let's take a look at a chart of, this is the VIX futures. So this is showing as really starting about 11:15, 11:30. VIX futures started to drop sharply lower. So we know that price has been increasing, implied volatility dropping, at the beginning of the day, market makers' position on the gamma curve was negative. So they had, they were short puts, SPX SPY puts, so they were short futures to hedge that. As prices increased, those puts are losing value, their delta notional is decreasing, and they can buy back their short futures. So that's a put Vanna rally. Price increasing, implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back short futures. So they're trading in the direction of price, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And that can only go on for so long. Let's see where SPX is trading right now. $43.30. All right, so that's right here, getting toward the bottom of this curve. So like I said before, that put Vanna fuel rally, put Vanna fuel, at least for today, it looks like it has been pretty much used up. All right, let's take a look at SPY. So SPY, now all these curves are very typical with this of a negative gamma environment, this steep skew to the left. SPY low of the day was around 427 and a half, somewhere around here. So indicating again, put Vanna fuel. And SPY right now is trading right around a little bit less than 432, so right here. So a good bit of the put Vanna fuel has been used for today for SPY as well. And let's check QQQ. Low of the day we saw before was 361, so that's pretty far up on this Vanna curve here. And right now QQQ is trading at 366. So again, a good bit of the put Vanna fuel has been burned up for QQQ as well. All right, let me get to Kite Attack's question. So Kite Attack is asking, how do I build my QQQ and SPY levels? So I assume, Kite Attack, you're talking about, let's say for the S&P 500, getting the SPY levels on my ES chart. Just let me know if that's correct. I think that may be what you're asking. So you're asking, how do I get these SPY levels on my ES chart? All right, so the first thing that I do is look at actually, let's go here, let's go to home. All right, so I start, this is updated every day. All right, so here are the SPY levels that I'm using, and I'm on my SPY, on the ES chart, I'm just showing the round number levels. So here's the 421 large gamma 4 level, 425 put wall, 430 volatility trigger, that's also the absolute gamma strike, and 434 call wall. And then, all right, so those levels that I want to show on my chart. All right, the next thing I do is update these levels in my spreadsheet here. So here are the SPY levels. So there's the levels that I just pointed out, the 420 level, 425, 430, 434. And then this is what this is, the spreadsheet is driving an add-on that I got from the the Bookmap marketplace called price lines, not price levels, price lines. You have to purchase that in the Bookmap marketplace, and this spreadsheet here feeds the price lines add-on that draws the labels and as well as the horizontal lines at those levels. So These are the special levels that I have labeled here. Otherwise, I just have the round number levels. The special levels, the Spotgamma levels, are shown with white, and then the other levels are shown with yellow. All right, so the last piece of the puzzle here is showing the correct ES level. That's shown in this column. And this format is for Bookmap Cloud Notes, and it is documented. But again, I'm using the Pricelines add-on to do this. All right, so I have the levels in my chart, the correct colors that I want to use. So again, the only remaining piece is to put the correct ES number in this level. So let's see how I do that. So let's go back to this SPX chart, and I have a little script that I'm running in Thinkorswim that calculates these levels in real time. All right, so there's the ES to SPY ratio, and it changes. This is done in real time. It's a very simple script that just divides ES by SPY, and I watch it for maybe a minute, and I'm just kind of looking for an average number here. So what I'm using today is 10.108. Looks like it's just a little bit lower than that now, so it's oscillating up and down around 10.108. All right, so that's the number that I use. Let's go back to my spreadsheet. All right, that's the number that I use to calculate these numbers right here. And this is the range that I want to show. That indicates whether I want to display the label on the line or not. All right, so that's how I get the levels on my chart. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. So I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. What this chart is showing is price for SPX and the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. So this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. So if you trade any form of the S&P 500, this is the signal that you generally want to take a look at. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. And I'm going to focus on just some morning setups. So first of all, right after the cash open, whoops, wrong tool. Right after the cash open, traders started taking positive delta positions, and as price approached that 4,300 level, shown as the key gamma strike here, it's the absolute gamma strike for an index, options traders started taking negative delta positions. So Hero made a series of lower highs as well as the S&P 500. Let's just separate out puts and calls. So what this is showing is calls with the orange line. So this indicates this rising line, orange line, indicates traders were aggressively buying calls at the cash open. And note they immediately took their foot off the gas when the S&P 500 hit that 4,300 level. Sorry about this. That's not anything that I did. I don't think. I've reported this to Spotgamma. So far, they have not been able to find a solution. So we know that traders were buying calls in the morning, took their foot off the gas at 4,300. Price continued higher just a bit, then finally reversed lower. At the same time, traders were buying puts. They started buying puts right around 940, 945. So they're taking negative delta positions there. So they stop taking positive delta positions, start taking negative delta positions just about the same time, and price responds lower. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. So again, I'm focusing on the morning setup, not the afternoon rally. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. All right, so this turned out to be not that significant. Let me just zoom in on this just a bit. You know, you never know in the morning what's going to happen. But here's a reversal, 10 a.m. as traders stopped buying calls, started buying puts. Price made kind of a triple top here. First test of 4,300, then moved up to 40, well, I guess that's a head and shoulders. So test of 429, SPY 429, and then the final test of 4,300 and move lower. And note that both the second and third test of these higher levels, large aggressive sellers came in. Note the shift in green volume dots. Those are buy minus sell, market buy minus sell. Green indicates there are more buyers than sellers. Magenta indicates more sellers than buyers. So at the 429 level, aggressive sellers came in. And again, the same shift in order flow at the 4,300 level. Aggressive buyers to aggressive sellers. And then the move lower is fueled by sell stop orders as well as aggressive sellers. You can see by the shift lower in the yellow line showing stop orders as well as the shift lower in cumulative volume delta. So this move lower was good for about 2 points in SPY, or around 20 points in the S&P 500. Pretty clear read looking at hedging flow in Hero as well as order flow in Bookmap. All right, we'll zoom out. So again, that turns out to be not so significant in the overall scheme of things today. All right, let's go back to Hero. So that was the, just looking at Hero as a confirmation or a signal. That was pretty clear in the morning. Then really not so much this afternoon until about 1 o'clock when traders started taking positive delta positions again. So negative delta and really up and down until they started taking positive delta positions right around 1 o'clock. So let's go take a look at that in Bookmap. All right, so here's that launch higher right around 1 o'clock as traders started taking positive delta positions again, right at the SPX 4,300 level. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. All right, let's go take a look at Hero. See what options traders were doing for NASDAQ. So this is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ, just like the S&P 500, although QQQ is typically the primary driver of NASDAQ. We'll zoom in a bit. So first of all, what this is showing is nice divergence long right at the open. Traders started taking positive delta positions immediately. Then price responds higher about 5 minutes later. So Hero moving higher. Initially, NASDAQ moves lower down to the QQQ 361 level and then moves higher as traders were taking positive delta positions. So let's go to Bookmap, go to NASDAQ. So here's the move higher in the morning, just after the cash open, reversal higher at QQQ 361. You can see all the bullish order flow there, large green volume dots as traders were taking positive delta positions. So a quick move just after the cash open, and good for more than 2 points in QQQ, or probably close to 100 points in NQ. All right, let's go back to Hero now. So after that, traders started taking negative delta positions. Price was grinding lower. Down to just after 11 o'clock. So let's go back to Bookmap. So here's that move lower. And pretty close to a retest of 361. And aggressive buyers start to come in. Note, cumulative volume delta has been increasing to flat all day. So a lot of aggressive buyers in, driving price higher. So it's really the aggressive buyers driving price higher in NASDAQ, starting just after 11 o'clock. Break of this downtrend, aggressive buyers come in. And price continues now up toward the 367 level. Let's go back to Hero. So after this brief up move around 11:10, options traders have not been driving price higher until just about the same time as the S&P 500 around 1 o'clock. Traders, NQ traders, or NASDAQ traders started to take positive delta positions again. So after a few minutes of that, price started to jump higher. All right, so there's NASDAQ. Move higher. This sharp move higher starts again as options traders start to get involved with positive delta positions. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. I'm going to start with Meta. All right, so the thing to note here is here's the 320 call wall, the strike that is expected to act as resistance. And earlier today, it definitely did its job. Traders aggressively were, let's see what they were doing. All right, so that we know the 320 call wall, separate out puts and calls. So in the morning, traders were aggressively selling puts and buying calls. That's shown by the rising blue and orange lines. Sorry, nothing I did. Scroll back out. Alright, so rising hero line, rising price, and then they take their foot off the gas as Meta hits that call wall. They start taking negative delta positions and price reverses lower. So this watching hero for Meta, it's much more clear that compared to the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, that options traders were driving a good bit of price action today. Options traders start taking negative delta positions. Price reverses lower at the 320 call wall. As expected, it does act as resistance. Price moves lower. And notice around 1 o'clock or so, traders start taking positive delta positions again, and price starts to move higher after this consolidation. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Here's Meta. $320 call wall, price is almost up there again. Sharp rally from the open as traders were selling puts and buying calls. They take the foot off the gas at the 320 call wall. Price drops lower, consolidates, and then they start taking positive delta positions again, and price starts to move higher back to the 320 call wall. So good long setup from the open, and then starting about 10:30, good short setup, or you could sell a call spread there, buy a put spread as price reverses lower at the 320 call wall that did its job and acted as resistance. So very clear long and short setups in Meta there. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. So bearish setup in the morning, 450 is the key gamma strike. Let's go take a look and see what options traders are doing. Go to NVIDIA. So here's the 450 key gamma strike. Price reverse lower at that level at the open. Overall, hedging flow was negative, let's say starting around 10 o'clock. And then shifted around 11:15 to bullish. Price moving higher, very strong correlation between options trades, hedging flow, and price action, especially starting after 11. Let's see what traders are doing. So net for the day, they are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and selling puts. Calls shown by the rising orange line, puts shown by the rising blue line. So when the put line is rising, that means they're selling puts. It's a positive delta position. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so it looks like, just looking at the morning, not knowing what's going to happen, there's the bearish setup. Short entries at this trend line. Then NVIDIA breaks that trend line as traders shift from negative delta positions to positive delta. And now NVIDIA has staged a sharp rally higher up to the 455 liquidity level. Note these levels of high liquidity. This is resting liquidity. So in the case this morning, these were resting limit sell orders. These levels of high liquidity act as magnets for price. Here this high liquidity comes in at 452. It looks like they actually pulled. We'll zoom in on this. So they actually pulled most of these orders right before NVIDIA made it up to that level. And they also, looks like, added liquidity, added orders there, and pulled them. So there might have been some filled there. Let's go back to Hero. Zoom back out. All right, so 460 is the call wall. So that's the next higher level of significant gamma. And notice right now that right around 455, options traders have taken their foot off the gas. Now price consolidating, maybe moving a little bit lower. All right, so this is showing that options traders were aggressively buying calls, shown by the rising orange line, took their foot off the gas, and now they're selling calls. And they also this slightly rising blue line indicates they are selling puts. All right, again, sorry about this. Have not been able to figure this out. All right, let's take a look at Tesla quickly. Then we'll take a look at the live market. Not much of a, not a strong correlation today between hedging flow and price action for Tesla. This did, Hero did help set up a short this morning. But it looks like other stocks, the play of the day has really been the long. Let's go take a look at Tesla in Bookmap. So really, I thought the best setups in stocks today, the stocks that I follow, were Meta especially, and also NVIDIA. There's the shorts and Tesla this morning. Pullback entries, trend break. Now Tesla started to make a series of higher lows. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500. Wow. So now it looks like both aggressive buyers, shown by the cumulative volume delta there. Let's just zoom in on this. Aggressive buyers, cumulative volume delta. You can see all the green volume dots, as well as buy stop orders, fueling this move higher. Rising yellow line, stop orders, rising dark blue line, cumulative volume delta. So the put Vanta rally that began on Friday with the hotter than expected employment report and delayed slightly by war in the Middle East over the weekend continues today, and fueled a lot by, again, aggressive buyers, buy stop orders. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go back to Hero, go to the S&P 500. So options traders are starting to fade this move now. They were taking positive delta positions up until just after 2 p.m. Now taking negative delta positions. All right, let's check on NASDAQ. And overall for the day, Hero is net negative. Let's just see what they're doing. So for NASDAQ, they are buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line, the negative notional value. They're also buying calls, shown by the positive notional value and the rising orange line. Put buyers more aggressive. So net for the day, the number is negative. Let's take a look at S&P 500, see what they're doing as well. So they're buying calls and buying puts in the S&P 500. Calls shown by the rising orange line, positive notional value. Puts shown by the falling blue line, negative notional value. In the case of the S&P 500, the call buyers are more aggressive. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? I'll be glad to do that. Otherwise, let's go back to Bookmap. So it looks like the S&P 500 may be heading up to the upper daily expected move. And then the 4350 level above that. Let's take a look at an SPX chart. So that is the ES upper daily expected move. That'll be a little bit different than the SPX upper daily expected move. Let's take a look at that. So still just above the current price. So note there are some large traders coming in, selling with iceberg orders. Looks like that is one execution. So one transaction, one player sold 2,000 contracts of ES in with an iceberg order they use to hide their size. And Bookmap can detect those after they have been executed. Also some aggressive sellers starting to come in. You can see a few magenta volume dots, and there are also some large traders in here with buy iceberg orders. That's shown by the blue icon there. Buying. Let's go back and see what options traders are doing. So note again, they are starting to take negative delta positions. And by the way, for my presentation here, I'm jumping from one screen. So I can only present on one screen. When I'm trading, I have 2 computers, 3 monitors total. So on my main computer, I'm looking at typically Hero on one screen and Bookmap on the other screen, so I don't have to jump back and forth like this. But obviously I'm only presenting on one screen, so that's why I'm jumping back and forth. I'm going to change this rolling window period, this look back period, to 30 minutes just to see if we can find more clarity this afternoon. So it looks like starting just before 2 p.m. Eastern time, so that consolidated, not doing anything, started taking negative delta positions. And remember that put Vanna Fuel rally, put Vanna Fuel has, at least according to the Vanna chart for today, mostly been burned up. So that tailwind is gone. Let's go back to Bookmap. So for the S&P 500 price consolidating there, traders are taking negative delta positions now. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Zoom in on this just a bit. So NASDAQ did find resistance at the 15,200 level. That's NQ 15,200, as well as the QQQ 367 level. Let's see what options traders are doing in NASDAQ. So NASDAQ, they are definitely more aggressively taking negative delta positions again. That started about 145. And remember, we're on the 30-minute rolling window period, so only looking at the last 30 minutes of data, which gives us a little bit more precise information for what options traders are doing this afternoon. Let's go back to Bookmap. So I just looked at a chart of the Magnificent 7 plus AMD. And they're all continue to move higher. So always remember the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are an index of stocks. And the Magnificent 7 tend to drive price a good bit of the time. So Kite says you follow around 10 stocks and pick the best move, or you take position all of them and manage different risk type setup. No, I'm not able to take positions in all of them. I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. So I'm looking for the best moves of the day, and the way I find that may vary. I can rank my charts by hero signal, the hero chart, looking for strong and weak hero signals, scan through charts in Bookmap. I look at, I've also got this chart I just mentioned in Thinkorswim. So this is 8 stocks. So that's why I said all these stocks are still moving higher. All right, so I look at that. That just gives me a quick glance of all the stocks. But I tend to trade mostly index products unless I see something very clear setup. And the most clear setup, both long and short today for me was Meta for the stocks. Otherwise, I focus most of my attention on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq just because of the time. All right, rally continues higher as traders continue to buy Magnificent 7. Index products follow. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. I hope I answer your questions, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.